When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Third hour of the Elias Macko Show. If you can believe it, we're almost at the mid-mandate point for the CAQ government. Almost 2 years of the CAQ in power. Now, if we went to the polls today, how many seats would the CAQ win? Think about that for a moment as I introduce our next guest. Philippe J. Fournier is on the line from 338canada.com, also from Macleans and Actualité, and it's QC 125. He does it all. My man, how you doing?
Good morning, Elias. How are you?
I'm doing well. So is this, by the way, is this a bit of an en primeur for CJ 8800 listeners when we talk about the mid-mandate and the CAQ?
Une exclusivité CJAD, because this article will be out in a few hours on l'actualité.
Okay, j'aime ça.
I updated the Quebec projection with the latest polls that we have seen lately from Léger and Ecos and other polling firms. And so how many seats do you think the CAQ would win, considering they won 74 in 2018?
I'm thinking it's 120. All hail Supreme Leader Legault.
Well, not that bad, but 94 seats would be my average for the CAQ
Wow,
right now.
94.
A 70-seat lead over the Liberals.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's the numbers are just overwhelming because the CAQ is leading basically in every part of the province except the island of Montreal, where they're almost tied with the Liberals.
Yeah.
They lead in Laval. They lead in the South Shore, in the North Shore, in Quebec City. They're crushing the Parti québécois in the Bas-Saint-Laurent and Gaspésie. And so, yeah, it's a powder blue map that I will publish in a few hours. It's very overwhelming, but that's what it looks like right now. Monsieur Legault has really managed to take the pulse of Quebecers, of many Quebecers, and he took the ball and ran away with it. So yeah.
Can I just ask you historically, and I just don't know this number, what's the most seats a party has received?
The most seats ever would be, I think, the second victory of Robert Bourassa in the 70s. I believe he won 106 seats.
Gotcha. So
that's the record. But we have to go back to the mid-'80s to see a party projected in the 90s seats. This is a lot, especially with four parties, because Robert Bourassa had only one party against him.
Yeah, you're right. It's got so much more competition, I guess, party-wise. But the strategy of the CAQ, you mentioned how they're crushing the PQ in certain regions of Quebec. The strategy of the CAQ of basically suffocating the PQ, taking away all their oxygen on any of their nationalism points, that seems to be working.
It seems to be working, and, you've seen Monsieur Legault have a beer with Doug Ford, and, this should please, it shows that the relationships with other provinces in Canada are not too strained, so that should please people who identify as Federalists, or non-sovereignists at least. And just a coincidence, we saw that Simon Jolin Barrette will release a new bill to protect French language just at the same time as the Parti québécois will have its new leader. What a beautiful coincidence.
What a coincidence. Hey, just while we're talking provincial stuff, any thoughts on Guy Nantel and the other contenders for the PQ leadership? Does that change anything for them?
Oh, good Lord. I'm looking at the numbers, and of course, there's a really high uncertainty. And just to show you how things change, how time has passed, Léger had this poll of 1,000 Quebecers. And so he asked all his respondents who would be the best leader for the Parti québécois. And then he took the subsample of voters for the Parti québécois. And in his 1,000 samples, he could only find 125 Parti québécois voters.
Wow.
And so, so right now we have 125 gives you a margin of error about 10%. So we don't know, basically. But for sure that Guy Nantel has the most notoriety, and he seems to be leading the field right now. But we're in a pandemic. We will face great challenges in the future in Quebec with economic challenges in Quebec and Canada.
Yeah.
And
Do you want a comedian?
Will probably elect somebody with no political experience.
Wow. Yeah, it's
this is strange.
Very strange. We're with Philippe J. Fournier, political poll prognosticator. He's on the line with us. Philippe, tomorrow, 8:10 a.m. on CJAD 800, Aaron O'Toole will be on with Andrew Carter. With that in mind, let's talk a bit of federal politics. Now that, Aaron O'Toole, he's now leader. I imagine there have been polls since he has become leader of the Conservatives. And what do they tell us federally as to where the wind is blowing?
Many things. First of all, the floor of the Conservative Party does not seem to have changed. It's around 30%. There's a really rock hard floor for the Conservatives, and so that's good for them. The ceiling doesn't seem to be moving. So when we ask, are you more or less likely to vote for the Conservatives now that Aaron O'Toole is leader, the polls that we had from Nanos Research and others show that it really hasn't changed much for the Conservative support. However, I would say that so far, at least, Aaron O'Toole is much more charming than Andrew Scheer ever was. And his French, I don't know if you heard him speak French lately, but it has improved tremendously. I remember in February, I heard it on the radio. I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be pénible." So he seems to be putting the effort in. And as you know, many Quebecers like this.
Totally, Philippe. And Aaron O'Toole had the base, right? He's got he born in Montreal and has the military French. So if you actually put in the hard work and you've already got a base of French language knowledge, you can get pretty far pretty quickly. So that is not surprising to me. I know you love to dabble as well, Philippe, in U.S. politics, and I love looking at these projections. Of course, the name of the game in the U.S. is the Electoral College. You can't look at popular vote. Doesn't mean nothing because you've got to win the Electoral College. That's 270 is the winning magic number. And as you see it, south of the border, Democrats, Republicans, Trump versus Biden, how's it playing out right now?
Right now, we have Biden as the favorite for sure. But again, when we look at the numbers and we look at odds, we have to remember what they mean. My model right now shows that Biden wins the Electoral College 3 times out of 4 simulations. And so, so that means that Trump's odds of winning are better than a dice roll. And so we have to look at a few key states. And of course, no surprise, it will be the Midwest. It will be Florida. But if you take the 2016 map, the one that Clinton lost but won the popular vote by 3 million votes, if you take this map and you flip Michigan and Pennsylvania alone, you have a tie.
Wow.
And so that means that Trump cannot lose more than those 2 states. And Trump has not led in Florida in the polling average since the beginning of the year. So if Trump loses Florida, it's probably game over for him. But again, there's so much uncertainty right now with everything that's happening south of the border. Will people be allowed to vote? Will those votes be counted? Polls measure voting intention, not votes. So those would you be comfortable voting in the mail right now in the U.S. if you were a Democrat?
It's you know what, with everything that has been said and with the stories about the U.S. Postal Service, you certainly say, oh, probably not. Yep, I know.
I would put a suit and I would
a hazmat suit and go vote.
And a hazmat suit, and I would go vote in person because you want to make sure that vote is counted.
Yeah, and then Philippe, there's also the question of disenfranchisement when it comes to voting at polling stations, right? Like in certain states they've made sure there's as few polling stations as possible, right? So even that doesn't work.
Absolutely, and you need a car to go. You have to drive on a highway for half an hour to go to vote, and people don't have a car. Well, sorry, you can't vote. I know again, that's part of the uncertainty of predicting U.S. elections, because when you call on people who you want to vote for, you get voting intention, not actual votes.
Philippe J. Fournier with the wise words to end this off. So, Philippe, everyone should head to L'Actualité this afternoon so that they can read what you told us en primeur about 94 seats, looking like 94 seats for the CAQ. Big stuff, and always a pleasure talking to you.
Always a pleasure. Take care, Elias.